Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me well? Awesome. Thanks for being here. I know it's the last session. I assume you guys are really tired right now, so much content. The good thing is you saw so many good things that you can use, but when you get home and you need to start working on these things, there's a lot of ins and outs that you'll find during the setup, like installation process and all that. So this session is really targeting that. So who here is really new to BlackBerry 10 development? That's good. This session is for you. OK. So my name is Demian Borba. As you saw there, you can ping me on Twitter at any time if you have any questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll find you the right contact, and I'll get you the answer. So let me give you a very quick feedback on how this session started. So last year, I run developer relations in Latin America. I came all the way from Brazil, so very happy to be here. And last year, we did 16 hackathons with developers and soon-to-be BlackBerry 10 developers. And we saw the same questions over and over in terms of setting up the environment, getting ready. And like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of ins and outs there. So this is a video that shows what the hackathon was. So you get the idea of from where these things came from. Let me hit play here.
Pô, tá sendo muito boa a experiência, cara.
É um sonho para nós estar desenvolvendo um jogo, ainda mais com uma marca que nem a BlackBerry, que é consolidada, que está voltando com tudo para o mercado. Entendeu?
O ambiente está bem descontraído, está muito interessante. Você viu como uma experiência bem legal, acho que posso falar pelo grupo inteiro. A gente trabalhou com tecnologias diferentes.
Sendo muito cansativo, a gente num ritmo frenético aqui, experiência muito bacana aí pra gente começar a desenvolver para essa nova plataforma aí.
Descobrindo mesmo que é isso que a gente quer fazer. O aparelho novo que eles estão lançando aqui, você fica maravilhado.
Cara, eu acho que eu tô na cerca de 10 ou 11 Red Bulls já pra conseguir aguentar até agora sem desmaiar. Mas, porra, sem o Red Bull não rolava, velho. Precisou mesmo.
Ele tá filmando?
Foi muito legal, muito produtivo o dia. A correria é grande, é uma maratona mesmo. A hackathon é uma maratona forte. A gente está muito cansado, mas está muito feliz com os resultados aí. Acho que vai dar para fazer uma boa apresentação.
Cansado, mas eu acho que vai valer a pena.
Chegou a hora, pessoal, 7 horas. Cada time vai ter só 3 minutos. Então você vai poder apresentar usando o seu computador, você vai poder se apresentar usando o seu device, então vai poder ligar ele via HDMI ali para a tela principal, para a tela grande. E é com você. Mas o grande vencedor da noite foi... E fica com você, da BlackBerry e a Red Bull. Muito obrigado.
A gente conseguiu fazer no tempo, ainda tem muita coisa para fazer, mas a experiência foi muito recompensadora.
É muito cansativo, 10 horas programando, mas foi muito bom. Foi uma surpresa muito grande, muito legal, a gente está muito emocionado e muito feliz.
gente acabou ganhando o prêmio de melhor Best Design. Teve bastante dificuldade, mas a gente conseguiu fazer o que a gente queria.
Foi uma disputa muito acirrada, foi muito legal mesmo. É uma experiência muito boa. A gente tem que agradecer muito a BlackBerry, a todos que estavam aqui presentes.
O vencedor aí do melhor aplicativo de hoje foi BlackBerry.
A ideia se concretizou ali na porta, 5 minutos antes do evento. Inesperado, estamos muito felizes.
Good, so that's how we ran all these events, and the video was not perfect. There was losing some frames, but you got the idea, right? So that's how we learn all these things. So this session is really targeting web developers. Who here is a web developer? HTML5, CSS, and Flash developers. Awesome. The portions of the session will be the same. So we'll do like 80% of HTML and then 20% of AIR. So you'll see how easy it is to do Flash applications. Oh my God, I have so many devices here. All right. But we only have 45 minutes to see all this stuff. My plan is to take you from the very beginning. So let's say you get home tonight and you want to start. From the very beginning where you start asking for the signing keys until you publish your app in App World. So in BlackBerry World right now, called BlackBerry World. So we're going to see all these steps. We're going to see how to ask for the signing keys, how to download the right SDKs, how to install the right SDKs, because there are some ins and outs there. How to register the computer so you can sign applications. We're going to learn how to get things from GitHub and for AIR and HTML5. Learn how to package and sign the applications and deploy to devices. So I have 2 devices here. I have the Dev Alpha C and I have a Z10. We're going to send applications to both and see how we can debug those applications. And the last thing is how to publish to BlackBerry App World. And you can ask questions at any time. So the first thing I'd like to show you is how to ask for signing keys. So if we go to my computer here, takes a while to get there. Okay, so everything, all the information, documentation, UI guidelines, everything is here in developer.blackberry.com. So to order signing keys, you go to the very top and you click there, order signing keys. And then you get to this form. And here you can ask for signing keys for BlackBerry OS 7 and lower. You don't want that because you're targeting BB10 and BB10 devices. So you check here, and then you type your name, the company you work for, the email. I'll do my country here. And then it gets to this portion here, registration PIN. And this is a number that only you know. You don't have to worry about making it hard for people not to find it. Registering the computer to sign applications is a process that it's easy, but if you miss one step, it doesn't work. So you have to reorder the keys, and it's really, really hard. So what I recommend is always try to use something that you always remember. So I use that number. I never have any problems, and I never forget that number. And it's only me. It's only my machine. And then you hit submit, and that's it. That's how you order signing keys. So as soon as you order your signing keys, you're going to get one email saying that you just ordered it. So in 2 hours, in up to 2 hours, sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's 20 minutes, you're going to get 2 more emails. Each one of these emails, they come with a file, a CSJ file, and you just save them in the computer. So again, you're going to get this email, and in up to 2 hours, you're going to get these 2 emails here. So let's get back to the presentation. So that's how you order the signing keys. Developer.blackberry.com, And on the top left, you have the signing keys button. And I'm doing a lot of, this session is divided in 9 steps. And I have on my blog all the steps there. So I have pictures now. It's theborba.com. And then I'm doing for all the steps, / step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And as soon as this is done, I'm going to work on the videos. So you have pictures there, but the videos will be there very soon. All right, the next step is to download the right SDKs. In our case, if you're a web developer, you're going to download the WebWorks SDK that works with HTML5 applications. If you're a Flash developer, you're going to download the AIR SDK. In our case, it is the AIR SDK, but it is still called Tablet OS SDK. So let me go back to my computer again. It's taking some time to get there. Okay. So again, developer.blackberry.com. I'm not going to download anything here. I have the files already. But if you go to developer.blackberry.com, you go to develop. And then you pick your technology. So platform choice. You can do the WebWorks one or the AIR one. If you go the WebWorks one here, you go to tools or here downloads. That's the same link. And another very good point on this website, for every technology, for every SDK we have, for example, the WebWorks in this case, I have downloads where I can download all the SDKs, the simulator, and all that. I have sample apps where I can download sample apps. The documentation is really, really good, so it is like a recipe, very, very easy to follow. And then the API reference if you need to search for specific APIs. In our case, I don't want the repo. I want the WebWorks SDK, and now it is the version 1.0.4.7. It's very small, only 13 megabytes, different than the Cascades one, which is like a gig, I think, because it has a lot of things in it. So this is very small, very simple. You download that, and then you do the same for AIR. So where's the AIR one? You can go back to that, or you can just, up here, you can do developer.blackberry.com /AIR or /HTML5. And it's the same thing, downloads or tools. And here you get the download link. And it's a little bit bigger. It's 243 megabytes. And once you have it, you can start working with AIR. So let me get back to this one. All right, so now we're in step number 3, which is installing the right SDKs. And installing the HTML5 SDK, WebWorks SDK, is really easy. You just follow the steps, so let's do that. And the SDKs, they're just folders. So this is a process where you accept license and all that, but they're just folders. So I have here the things that I need to install. So when I download the WebWorks SDK, this is the guide that I get. When I download the AIR SDK, this is the guide that I get. So let's do the WebWorks first. So you double click on that zip. It creates this image. You type your password. And then it's going to install the WebWorks SDK. You read that. Normally it goes to developer under your hard drive, so it's fine. I'll keep it that way. And you install. Once you have it installed, and you go on the Mac, it's under the hard drive, and then developer, SDKs, research in motion, and this is it. This is where the SDK is. And the guy that does all the job for, we're going to get back to this, but the guy that does all the job for WebWorks applications, packaging, signing, is this guy, BBWP. So it's there, it's installed. Talking about the AIR SDK, this is a little bit different. So besides having the SDK downloaded, you also need the AIR SDK itself. This is the SDK that we did for BlackBerry 10. But you also need the AIR SDK from Adobe. And as of now, the version of AIR in our devices in BlackBerry 10 is 3.1. So we still don't have stage 3D, we still don't have stage video, but we're working on it, and very soon we're going to have that. So as of now, you can only do AIR applications with the version of the Adobe AIR SDK 3.1 and lower, which is fine. The only things you don't have is stage 3D and stage video. So if I click here, it starts the process. The same thing, I agree there. If you want, you can integrate with Flash Builder and FDT, Power Flash or FDT if you want to. And then you choose the default location, that's fine. And this is the trick part. A lot of people just keep hitting next, 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 and they miss this part. But you don't move forward if you don't select where the Adobe AIR SDK is. And if you go now to adobe.com and you look for the Adobe AIR SDK, the version that's there is 3.5. If you use that version, it's not going to work here, right? Because we know it's only 3.1 and lower. So the SDK that has the version 3.1 and now is the Flex 4.6 SDK. And that's all on the website, on my website, explaining that. So if you go to, let's say, Google and you say Flex 4.6, download. Here you can download the Flex SDK. It's a little big as well, no thanks. But then you have the version of AIR that we need. So I can go there, SDKs. I downloaded it, so I can unzip it. And again, this is just a folder as well. So let's wait for unzipping. Any questions so far? Good. Come on. Yeah, it's going faster now. All right, so now I have that folder, and if during the installation process, if I choose that folder, so let me go to Jam SDKs. The root, this guy here, the root folder, I choose, and I hit next. It validates, it finds the right version of AIR. I'm good to go, and then I hit install. This one takes more time, and it installs in a different location. Yeah, I'll leave it installing there, and then we're going to move to the next step. Any questions on how to install AIR and WebWorks SDK? We're good? All right, so next step, register your computer. This process is very confusing because you have to use the keys that you got on that email, remember, and then you have to register those keys on your computer. You can back the keys up if you want to sign with different computers, but for every computer that's signing applications, you have to have the keys and the keys registered with our server so you can sign the applications. What is the difference in between an application that's signed and an application that's not signed? If you're working with applications and not signing them, you can deploy them to your devices, but your device has to have a debug token. It's a file that lives there, and it lasts 10 days, and it's only valid for that device, for that app, for your environment. So what I recommend to do is every time you create your application, your bar file, you sign it. Because if you sign it, you can share with anyone. You can share with the client. You can publish to AppRoll because that's necessary. The application has to be signed. But again, this process is a little confusing. You can do this all using command line if you want, but I don't recommend that because there's a big chance of missing a space or anything. Internally, we have a guy called Mark in our team, and he developed an application, a visual application that helps you registering the keys, packaging applications, all visual. So under the hood, it's all command line, but it's all visual, so it helps you. And it's not finalized, it's not really polished, So it's something that helps a lot, but it's not a perfect tool. And I'll show you right now. Okay, so I have my keys here, those 2 files that came on those 2 emails. I have my SDKs installed. So my AIR SDK is under developer. Oh, shoot. And my AIR SDK is, sorry, the WebWorks SDK is under developer there in the hard drive. And the AIR SDK is under applications. So if you go all the way down, research in motion, this is the AIR SDK that we're looking for. In Windows, it's under program files and x86. Okay, now let's use BlackBerry Graphical Aid. That's the name of the app, BlackBerry Graphical Aid. And on my blog, I have the download link for this, so you don't have to memorize. And this is the website where you download it. So you go all the way down. Here you can see you can build AIR applications. You can install applications on device. You can create debug tokens if you want to do, if you want to test unsigned applications. You can configure and you can see help. I just finished installing the AIR SDK. Okay. And if you scroll all the way down here, yeah, my computer is going to explode. Okay. Okay, my AIR SDK is done. And on the very bottom, you have the Mac installer for Macs and the Windows installer for Windows. I already have it installed, so I'll show you BlackBerry Graphical Aid. This is the app. It's an AIR application, so very, very simple. And the first time you run it, it opens this screen. So you need to configure. You need to set out where everything is. So you hit Next. The first thing you need to tell where the WebWorks SDK is. So I can go choose the location. I know it's under Developer, Research in Motion. Again, the root folder of it. Okay. I hit Next. This is tricky because the first time you do it, as soon as you do the WebWorks SDK, it pre-fills this for you. So it sets a value for you there. That's not the right location for the AIR. It's something that's inside the WebWorks SDK, and Graphical Aid thinks it's the right place, but it's not. So you got to change it. So again, every time you see BlackBerry Tablet OS SDK, that's the AIR SDK. So you hit Choose New Location. And then that's inside, that's under Applications, Research in Motion, and you choose the location of your AIR application, your AIR SDK. And then you hit Next. If you want to work with Android, you can set it where the SDK is, but that's fine. We're not going to do anything like that. And you hit Next again, and then we get to this portion, the developer certificate. This is really important. Every time, let's say you're trying to register a computer and you have a problem, every time you need to register the computer, you have to order new keys, go through the configuration process here in BlackBerry Graphical Aid, and every time you have new keys, you have to create a new certificate. If you create a new certificate in the process, everything will be beautiful and nothing's going to happen. So I'm going to replace the one I have. What is a good password for me? Perfect. And in the hackathons, we had so many people forgetting the passwords, and once we recommend that, everything goes perfect. So generate certificate. The path to the SDK is not connected. 1 second. Let me try this one more time. It's the demo time, right? Applications, Research in Motion. Let me do this one. Next. I did it right? Yeah, wonderful. Create certificate. Generate certificate. Perfect. All right. So now I have my certificate. The next step is I can order new keys from here if I want. It's going to open the website. But again, I have to wait up to 2 hours. I already have 2 new keys. So I'm going to replace the ones I have here. It deleted the ones I had. And then I need to select where the keys are. So I'm going to browse to my location. The first one is PBDT. That's the one. The second one is the RDK. And then I'll do my magic password 3 times. And when I hit register, it's going to talk to the RIM servers. And it says it was successfully registered with the server. So now my computer is registered. So anytime I need to register a new computer, I do the same process. Any questions on this? If you miss one step, it's going to break, and then it's a mess. The biggest mistake I see is where people, they get the AIR SDK, the tablet OS SDK wrong. Because when you install the WebWorks one first, it pre-fills that for you. So make sure you select the tablet SDK, the version you have there. Okay. All right, next step. Let's use GitHub to find HTML5 applications. You can use command line if you want, or you can hit download. So if you go to github.com/BlackBerry, here you have a lot of samples for AIR, for HTML5, for Cascades, for a lot of different technologies. So if you do AIR, for example, you get all the samples for AIR. For example, if I want to see this one here, I click there, and I can hit to download the zip folder, and then the zip file, and then it gives me that sample, and I can start using it. Same thing with HTML5. Here I have to type WebWorks, and then it gives me all the samples. This one is nice. It's called bbui.js. Who here saw this before, BBUI? This is a library in JavaScript that mimics Cascades. So all the components that you have in Cascades, they are here in HTML5 and CSS. So if you're applying for the Built for BlackBerry program, if you use that library, it's pretty much guaranteed you're gonna get that. Of course, it has to be an interesting app using a lot of features, but this is the first thing because it follows the UI guideline. And it's really similar to jQuery Mobile. I have it here downloaded. Let me show you where it is. Okay. I have some samples here. So for HTML5, I have the BBUI sample. I have tons of more samples, camera, kitchen sink. A lot of people ask, okay, how can I use a database to work on HTML5 applications? How can I use the accelerometer and all those questions? This kitchen sink one, this was made for the playbook, but it has a lot of code that works really well until now. So if you open that, let me open it here. It has a lot of information here, a lot of samples, and it's literally copy and paste. So for example, if you want to use, let's say, accelerometer, you click here on the accelerometer one, and you cannot test it here, right, because there's no accelerometer here. But you can use Ripple, that plugin for Chrome. Let me do localhost, kitchen sink, accelerometer, same thing. Okay, there we go. And now it's running inside Ripple, and I can test the accelerometer by testing this. And this is a plugin for Chrome. You can go on the plugins section and look for Ripple. We just had a session about it. But the good thing about Kitchen Sink, it has a lot of things. So if you need to check if the app is online or offline, there's the connectivity one here. As example for Twitter, let's say connectivity. Yeah, network connectivity. Now I know I'm online. If I turn my Wi-Fi off, this will be offline. And it's literally copy and paste. It's all JavaScript, very easy to use. Some things are not working anymore, but a lot of things work. All right, so that's a sample of an HTML5 application. We have a camera, we have a lot of different applications there. With AIR, it's pretty much the same thing. You go there, you download. I gave you on my website, I gave you a link where you can download a template. So you can download a finished AIR application if you want as a sample to work with. But I gave you a template, and the only thing you need is a Swift. So if you create a Swift with Flash Professional, Flash Develop, FDT, Flash Builder, anything, just a Swift, you can use this template and get your app working. And you're going to do that. So you're going to use that to create the app and install on the device and see how it works. All right. OK, the next step, package and sign the application. I'm not going to switch to that computer, but it just says the package and sign. Oh, it's already there. For WebWorks, I really recommend to use command line. It's simple. A lot of people think it's scary, but it's really simple. So let me show you one example. So let's do this. Let's use the BBUI sample, and let's learn how we can convert that sample into a website, into an application. It is just like a local website. So if it works in the browser, it's going to work on the device. We know we have one of the best browsers out there, even better than browsers on the computer. So let's use this guy here. So if you download the BBUI sample, you get to this point where you have samples. And this is, let me open in the browser so I can show you. It goes to BBUI. Let's see this one, samples. OK. Index, the first page that opens. And again, this is BBUI. Very, very simple. You have all the components there. And this is all JavaScript and CSS. So let's use this as a sample, and let's learn how to package, sign, and deploy to the device. All right. The first step is I got to select everything here and zip it. What is inside this zip? Remember I said it's just like a local website, so it has the CSS files, it has the JavaScript files, it has the index, or any other page that will be the first page that opens. But I have two more things. I have this guy called config.xml that describes my application, and I have my icon that shows here on the home screen where the user taps. And the icon is 114 by 114. OK, let's see what this config.xml is. It's just a simple XML that has the name that shows below the icon. This is the ID. So every time you change that ID, that becomes a new application. So we're going to learn that if we sign one application one time with one build ID, let's say the first time is 1. If I try to sign again with the same build ID, it's going to complain because it's going to say that that application is already signed. So you got to increment the build ID. But if you don't want to increment the build ID and it's a different application, just change that. So let's say you're using this as a template. Just make sure you change the ID to make sure it's a different app. And then, again, this is the name that shows up below the icon. This is a description. This is where the icon is. This is a splash screen. Remember, every time you open an application, the first thing that shows up is a splash screen. Make sure you have those. I was the whole day yesterday working on the testing booth for the Dev Alpha C. And I saw a lot of WebWorks applications and a lot of Cascades applications being deployed to the device. And in 90% of the cases, the only thing people had to change was the splash screen, because the UI itself was adapting to the new screen size. So make sure if you're targeting the Dev Alpha C or the Q10, it's 720 by 720, the splash screen. And if you're targeting the Z10, it's 1280 by 768. New devices that are coming out this year, they're going to be 1020 by 1280 by 720. So the only one that's 768 by 1280 is the Z10. The next ones, the ones with the landscape format, 1280 by 720. And that's good news for you developers, right? Because you don't have to worry about doing all these different screens. There are only two screens, the square one and the rectangular one. The next thing you have here is the first page that opens. In this case, it would be index.htm, sorry. And then more information that you can use. If you have JavaScript that is coming from other pages, let's say from Google, you have to whitelist your application. So you need to whitelist that website to make sure it's going to work. So if you're getting JavaScript errors, make sure you're whitelisting it, the website that's coming on that. Okay, so I have the config.xml, all my local files. I select everything. And some people select this guy here and zip that folder. But no, you got to zip this guys here. If you zip the parent folder, it's not going to work. So you compress. Now you have a zip file called archive.zip with everything inside. The local files, the config.xml, and the icon. OK, so remember I said we're going to use command line. So let's open terminal. So you go to that top, the right top there, the top right, and you type terminal, and you hit enter. On Windows, it's run cmd. It's the same thing. And he opens your terminal here. A lot of people do it differently, but I like to work this way. Let me show you. It's a lot easier. Let me open this up, and this guy here. Can you see it? Can you see or is it too small? Are you guys there? Awesome, I'll make it bigger. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is navigate to this folder where the zip file is. So I select, I'm in terminal, I type cd space, and then I drag samples here. I hit enter, boom, now I'm inside samples. I can see everything that's in there. Remember I said that for WebWorks, the guy that does all the work is that guy called BBWP. So let's find it. So I'll put it up here. So again, the WebWorks SDK is in hard drive, developer, SDKs, research in motion, BBWP. This is the guy. It's going to be the guy that's going to package and sign. So I just drag it there. So I'm calling BBWP. This is the guy that does all the work. He needs to look to the zip file. What's the name of the zip file? Archive. So I type A, and I hit tab. He completes it for me because he found it. The next thing you do, you got to sign the application. Remember, for WebWorks applications, I can package and sign at the same time. So I can use that zip, convert it to a bar, and sign at the same time with the same instruction. To sign the application, I do -G. What is my magic password? Perfect. Imagine if I had to remember, OK, which one I use for the PIN, which one I use for the key store. That happens a lot. The next thing is the build ID. And this is I use this app sometimes. I'll try one and see what happens. Because I just registered new keys, so technically I'm a new computer registered, signing this. Build ID 1, it has to be an integer. It cannot be 1 dot something. Every time I zip and I need to package again, I need to increment this number. So let's say you do some changes. You need to zip it again and do all this process again, incrementing the build ID. The next thing is -O for output. And I can do any name. So in my case, I do archive.bar just to keep the same naming there. And that's pretty much it. If I want to enable debugging, I need to add the instruction -D. And then it enables debugging. I'll leave it with debugging for now. And then you hit enter. So BBWP will work. Don't worry about those warnings. Those APIs are being finalized. It packaged. So now I have a bar file. And now it's communicating with our servers, with the RIM servers, BlackBerry servers now, to sign the application. Perfect. I just registered a new key, so this is a new computer. I got my bar signed. So let's, as an exercise, let me try to do the same thing again. Let's say I rezipped it, right? And now I need to package again. What's going to happen now? Is it going to work or no? Why? Because of the build ID. So I'll show you the error. So it created the bar. Now it's trying to communicate with our servers. It's saying that you cannot do it because it was already signed. How do I fix that? Increment the build ID to 2. No, it has to be an integer. Again, so it's going to talk to our servers and sign the application. Boom. So I have a bar signed, and with that bar, I can submit to Apple World, to BlackBerry World. I can deploy to any device, to a client, to another device in your company. And that's how you create the bar file using WebWorks. Any questions on this process? It's on my website too, the process. And I'll do a video again on this. Any questions? Okay. So now let's learn how to do an AIR application using the SDK. And in this case, remember I said BlackBerry Graphical Aid was not finalized. It was a friend in our company that did it. The WebWorks tab there doesn't work well. So there were changes in the SDK that broke this. But the AIR one works really well. So if you go to the build AIR, I have a sample here. Remember I said I did templates? The only thing you need is the Swift. So I did one template for the Z10 and one template for the Q10. And the only things I have there is, of course, the Swift. And this guy can be done, for example, in Flash Professional. The only thing you got to do is you got to make sure you're creating an app, a project in this case, in Flash Professional, that is 3.1 or lower, AIR 3.1 or lower. If you do 3.2 or 3.3, it's not going to work. And in this case, it's just a simple Swift. The way I recommend you guys to work if you're Flash developers and use FTT or Flash Builder, do an Android app that targets, let's say, AIR 2.5 or 3.1, and then get only the Swift and use this template. It's going to work perfectly. So now I have, this is very simple. It's just a pulsing AIR logo there, 720 by 720. And in the AIR template, it is a little bit similar to what's in the WebWorks one, in the HTML5 format. I still have the icon, same size, so it's the same process, 114 by 114. But I have two new guys. I have the bar descriptor that describes my bar, and I have the descriptor file of an AIR application. So this is common to any AIR application. Flash Professional and Flash Builder, it generates this for you. So let's see how it looks. So again, it's an XML that describes where the Swift is. For example, the Swift, just like in WebWorks, we have the HM. This is the Swift location, the first thing that opens. And I can do a lot of things, the permissions that I need, if it rotates or not. But this is really important. It has to be 3.1 or lower. So if for some reason you're using a descriptor file, a project-app.xml, that came from Flash Builder, for example, and you have 3.2, 3.3, make sure you change it to 3.1. Okay, and the bar descriptor is the same for any BlackBerry application. So that's your author, your name, the icon that opens, and all the permissions you're using. So if you need to access the camera, just uncomment that. If you need to use geolocation, just uncomment this. And that's it. So the template is there, and you can reuse at any point. All right, so let's do this exercise. We saw how to do applications using WebWorks, how to get the bar file. Now let's see how we can get the bar file using these guys here. And I'm going to use, let me close Flash, and I'm going to use the graphical aid to help me. Of course, I can do this using command line, but again, I have to remember all those instructions, and it's not super, super simple. OK, so the first thing I select under build AIR is the location. So let's do this one, 720 by 720. I'll call this hello world.bar. This is the file that's going to be generated. The second thing is the descriptor. The third thing is the descriptor file. And the last thing is the Swift. You can use build ID the same way, so I'll do 1 first. I have 1 there, but I can increment. I have my magic password here, and I add any new file. So let me delete this, and I'm going to add the right one. I need to add the icon. So if I have local images, if I have local videos, all that, inside that folder, I need to add them here to the project. And then I hit build. It's going to create the bar, all using command line behind the scenes here, and it's going to sign it. Hopefully. Yeah, the internet's not that fast now. Any questions? Yes. There you go. Yes.
How is the difference between the two devices? You're making now one template for one version?
Yeah, the only difference is the size. So one Swift is 720 by 720. It's a square. Yeah. And the other one is a rectangle.
So you submit them differently to the store?
Depends. If you have one app that is responsive, you can adapt to different screens. We're going to see it in a bit. In BlackBerry world, you can mark the target to be Playbook, Q10, and Z10. You can mark that. Or you can register 2 different ones. In Flash, it's hard to find, for example, games that adapt to it. So it's better to register 2 products there. But it's really up to you. If your Swift knows how to adapt, it can be one that adapts to both.
Yeah, so basically with this setup, you could also just build for the playbook if you would choose the different SDK.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So now I have my bar signed, created and signed, and I can install that on device. So I have one bar that was done using the WebWorks SDK, and I have another bar that is done using the AIR SDK. To install, I have a tab here called Install. Again, I can use command line if I want, but this is easier, right? It's all visual. So let's learn how to install my signed bar on my device. So let me switch to the device here. OK, so this is the Dev Alpha C. The first thing you got to do here is go to Settings, all the way down, Security, down Development Mode. So you need to enable Development Mode here. So you hit that. You add a password, and now my device is in development mode. Sorry. All right. Now it's ready to receive applications. I have my device connected to my computer using the USB cable. So I have 2 options here. If I go to Settings, just to show you what I'm talking about, if I go to Network, About, and then Network, I have my network IP. It's 10.12.64.198. So if I use that IP, I'm going to send from this computer here using Wi-Fi. But I also have my cable here. So every time I have my USB cable connected, it gives me this IP, 169.254.0.1. That's the USB one. I always recommend to use USB because, for example, in this case, the network's not open, so I cannot see devices. So let's use that to install. So let's get back to my computer here. Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Okay, so let's select the bar file. In my case was this one, perfect. Is this? Yeah. Archive. This is the WebWorks one. I have the USB, it comes with it. The password of the device I just created when I enabled the development mode. I hit install. First time you do it, it takes some time, but then the next ones are a lot faster. Okay, I have it running on my device. Let me install the AIR one so we can do two at the same time. So now let's select samples, AIR. I'll do the 720 by 720. Same thing, install. Okay, I have that running on my device. Let me show you. Okay, this is the AIR one. This is the Swift that I had, and I made it square so you can see it's there. So I have the icon there, and I have the app running. And the same process applies to the other one. The WebWorks one, I still have to fix the splash screen, but this is the WebWorks one. It gives me that address on the top so I can debug on my computer. And this is BBUI. So I have a lot of things here, and scrolling is nice. It gave me that, just to go very quickly here, it gave me that URL that I can debug my application, if it works here. Okay, so let me show you very quickly how you can debug now. So if you type that URL that it gave you, now I have the remote web inspector enabled. And just like in Firefox, I can select the elements here. And I don't know if you can see it, but as I scroll here, I can edit this element. I can also see the resources. I can see my local storage, my database, my network, my sources. Here I can, this is all JavaScript that's running here. I can add breakpoints and open the device, refresh the device, and it works really nice. So let me rush here back to the end of the presentation. And don't worry, I'm going to have videos of everything I had planned on the website. So that's how you install the apps there and you debug. This is the remote web inspector I just showed you. This is another process that for WebWorks applications, if you change the config.xml, if you change the first page that opens to a server, and you set it up, I'll have the steps there, but you can set it up in a way that as soon as you hit save on your text editor, it refreshes on the device. And that's super cool, and it improves productivity a lot. And I'll have that on the website. Publishing your app to app world, so first you have to sign. Then, who here has a vendor account already in BlackBerry World? If you don't have one, the process is you sign up there, and then you have to send some documents. If you don't need to, if you're rushing to get your app there, send me an email, and I can approve you, so you don't have to send all those documents. And keep thinking about the principles that we showed you in the conference. Make your apps integrated, so they use the flow, they use cards, all those principles. They're social, so you're using the sharing framework. They're beautiful. Make sure you use the components that we have. They're made to take advantage of the UI, the OS and the UI. Again, that's the plan. It was almost there. Next time I have to go a little faster to get that in 45 minutes. But you got the idea. We just didn't see the BlackBerry World portion. But again, it's super simple. Just one tip on the BlackBerry World thing. You go there, you register a product. And a lot of people, after they register a product, they think that's it. But you have to go to a plus sign on the bottom there and add a release. And that's where you submit you upload the bar file. So create the product, finish the screens and all that, but don't forget to add the release. And that release is where you tell if it's for Q10, Z10, or anything. And that's it. So hope you have a lot of all the steps in your mind right now. Any questions, count on me. Send me a message on Twitter, on my blog. And I'm here to help. So thank you for coming. And good luck with BlackBerry 10 development.